And welcome everyone. So today's session is designed specifically for lawyers and accountants who need structured ways to really track responsibilities, coordinate with their colleagues, and maintain visibility across client files and internal work. So this session is going to cover how Microsoft 365 tools work together to support organized, deadline-driven professional environments. These are tools that we have included with our 365 suite. It's not things that are third-party applications that we're bringing in. These are tools we have today. So the key benefits are going to include centralized task management with all tasks from emails, personal lists, and team projects in one place, which also gives us improved deadline tracking with visual timelines and reminders for month-end audits and filings. It gives us better prioritization using My Day, and priority flags help us as well. Enhanced collaboration with real-time task assignments and progress tracking. It has reduced email overload by converting emails really into actionable tasks. The increased accuracy and compliance through checklists and attachments, and also time saving through the automation of repetitive processes like invoice approvals and reminders. We can save a lot of time by using these applications. So starting with a framing and outcome, kind of first establishing the professional content. So why task management is a risk management activities for lawyers and accountants. And second, defining the four concrete learning outcomes that we'll demonstrate through some live walkthroughs. Okay, so this is not a generic productivity session. It's really designed for obligation-driven professional environments where deadlines are really tied to client matters, regulatory requirements, court dates, filings, and professional liability. In a professional service environment, particularly legal and accounting, work is obligation-driven, not just task-driven. Deadlines are tied to, the regulatory requirements, those court dates, filings, etc. When tasks are fragmented across emails, calendars, handwritten notes, spreadsheets, personal systems, the risk is not inconvenient, it is exposed. So task fragmentation creates risk in several key areas, like missed or late deliverables. When commitments live in multiple places, there's no single source of truth. Follow-ups promised in emails, deadlines mentioned in meetings, and tasks assigned verbally can easily get lost. So second is unclear ownership. Work often involves shared responsibility. If a task lives only in one person's inbox, others may assume it's being handled. Number three is reduced auditability and accountability, where professional standards require firms to demonstrate that work is tracked, reviewed, and really completed on time. Cognitive overload, where professionals already manage large volumes of information. Remembering where tasks live instead of what needs to be done really increases errors. And then we have the risk that multiplies under pressure. Fragmentation is most dangerous during busy periods like filing, deadlines, year-end reporting, trials, audits. So the key framing in professional services, task management is not about getting organized. It's about risk management and quality control activity. The integrated tool approach really demonstrates connecting Outlook, Planner, and To-Do to capture, coordinate, and execute those tasks efficiently. So we want to really take advantage of the tools we have available to us starting today. So defining the four tangible outcomes, learners should kind of understand that there's three separate tools in isolation. They are learning a more unified workflow where each of these tools can have a distinct job, and the combination of these tools that we have really create reliability. So learning outcome one is going to be coordinating tasks across these tools, where we'll see and understanding how commitments arriving in Outlook become trackable tasks and how these tasks can be organized personally in Microsoft To Do or shared via Planner. Coordination eliminates duplicate lists and ensures a single home for each of those obligations. And then the second learning outcome is managing client and file work, where we structure tasks tied to matter or engagements with clear ownership, due dates, and supporting details so client delivery is predictable. This also includes recognizing when work should be personal versus shared. And our learning outcome 3 is improving team visibility, using shared boards and assignments so partners, managers, team members can see status at a glance and really reduce the status update emails. Visibility supports handoff, coverage during absences, and activity escalation of blockers. And the fourth learning outcome for today is structured workflow management, reoccurring and standardized work, including client follow-ups, reporting cycles, internal reviews, and compliance checks. So structure is achieved through consistent naming, due dates aligned with the real deadlines, and checklists reflecting the firm's standard of work. So each outcome will be demonstrated with one or more live walkthroughs so you can see some realistic practices with these different tools. So why task management is important is one of the things we need to be covering, because we want to establish that task fragmentation is an exposed issue, not just an organizational issue. And Outlook, as our commitment hub, is right in our front door, not the storage room for unfinished work. Turning emails into trackable tasks, really kind of taking a look at how we go from Outlook to To-Do, and then showing how things are also available in Microsoft Planner. So we want to really be able to develop a central framing for where are things. So we don't have Mr. Late deliverables. When commitments live in multiple places, no single source of truth, follow-up promised, those deadlines mentioned, those are going to be overlooked. We end up forgetting or not really understanding what it is we're supposed to be doing. So we have to be careful with unclear ownership. In firms, work often involves shared responsibility. If a task lives only in one person's inbox or calendar or task list, others may assume that they're taking care of it, creating gaps that really surface only when the deadline hasn't been reached. We also have reduced auditability, where professional standards increasingly require firms to demonstrate that work is tracked, it's reviewed, and it's completed on time. We want to make sure that the risks don't multiply. We have those peak periods of when we're super busy with getting things done, and the tools we're going to be discussing today can help us to keep those in a manageable format. Starting with Outlook. Outlook is our communication hub. It is a tool that we all have available to us, but how are we using it? Common Outlook-only pitfalls include using the inbox as a task list, where we do flagging, and then we don't really fulfill that flag, or using the calendar as an actual task list. Calendar is for events. Tasks go on task lists. And another common pitfall is informal work falls through the cracks because verbal commitments and meeting follow-up often never becomes tracked tasks. There's really multiple benefits to having things in one place, starting with turning emails into trackable tasks, which is going to help us to be clear on the action and the due dates of what needs to be done and have them tracked where they need to be tracked. You can't really track an email, so to say. We track tasks. We look at tasks as the things we need to do daily. So let's see an example of what am I talking about. So first I'm going to jump into Microsoft Outlook. Here in Microsoft Outlook, let's say that you have a task that is related to an email, that you got an email from someone, and here's an example of this review settlement draft where I received an email that is, could you please review the settlement draft and let me know whether everything looks complete and accurate? Well, that's a task. That isn't something I'm going to put on my calendar. This is something that I need to do. So how I can take this email and turn it into a task is I could actually, because this is really something I need to do. So kind of a key difference between to do and planner is to do is for your personal tasks. Planner is for shared task lists. So we'll see the difference here, of course, today. So if I want to take an email that I received and put it in a true tracking capability, I can super easy, right click on the task. And by the way, I'm using the new version of Outlook, just so everybody knows. From this right click menu, down at the bottom is this category called Advanced Actions. From there, you can click Create Task. When you do that, it adds the task to a new pane that is opened on the right-hand side that gives you the ability of seeing the calendar and your to-do list, your task list. So it's going to automatically add this email as a task to my task list. So that's a great, easy way to be able to get information added. But as you can see, it's right here and it says Review Settlement Draft, and it's got email because it's directly linked back to that email. If that email becomes part of a more of a conversation, it's still going to have that link back to that email so you can quickly and easily get to it. But I'm going to do one more example with that because a lot of times this is how my tasks get entered, is by taking the content of an email and turning it into a task. I do this every day. I get emails all the time as to things I need to take care of. So I'm going to go to this last quarter expenses email where I got an email saying we're missing last quarter's expenses classifications and a few items are still unclear or unassigned. I want to make sure everything is categorized correctly. Can we finalize this before month end? Because we're already at April 23rd, which is kind of crazy, so we need to get things done before that. So I want to add this as a task that I need to take care of. Once again, I would go back and do that right click, hesitate on that Advanced Actions, and then click Create Task. Once again, it's going to add that to the right-hand side. But where is it actually going? Let's see where it's going. On the left-hand side here in Outlook, Classic or the new Outlook, you have a blue checkmark icon, which is the To-Do app. The To-Do app is going to give you on the left-hand side a navigation pane. On that navigation pane at the top section, you have all these different categories. It by default takes me to my tasks category. So you could see on the middle of the window, I have this list of different tasks. And the way that I'm viewing this list right now, there's view icons at the top. I have grid view and I have list view. So depending on if you want to see more detail, use list. If you want just to at a glance, it's more of the grid view. So you can see when you look at this that I have a column for due date. So if something was set up with a due date and we're past that due date, it shows up in red, which is great because then it's standing out to us. We also have a simple column on the right of that for importance. So if you want to mark a task as being important, it flags it as important and it goes to the important category on the left-hand side, which I'll get to in just a second. But it all depends on what it is that you need to do. So I have this task called last quarter expenses that I turned my email into a task. If I click on it from this list, it has a pane on the, sorry, let me close that pane. If I go to this task, if I go to this task, we can actually say we've completed it by clicking on the check mark on the left-hand side, or if I want to change it to give it a due date, I could click on this column for due date. Choose what the due date is. So I'm going to say it's due on Monday. So now it adds it as being due on Monday. Now I also have that task called Review Settlement Draft, which also came from the email. I'm going to click on this little circle with an eye on the right-hand side, and that will open up a pane to give you more choices besides just putting in a due date or marking the importance. Let's say that on the right-hand side, there's actually a few things I have to do to actually review this settlement draft. On the right-hand side in this pane is the details for this task, including adding steps. So right here in To Do, you can add steps to a task to say, I need to complete this, this, and this to complete the entire task. I'm going to click where it says Add Step. And let's say that for this review settlement draft, I have to look over the old draft. And I need to confirm with the staff. I can put in whatever I need for individual tasks that are related to the overall tasks. I'll show you how that's going to work here in just a second. But I also have this feature, which is something I live with and work with every single day. It's called Add to My Day. If this is a task, so let me back up a second. Let's say you just got in. It's morning, you just got into work, and you need to know, what are you doing today? Well, you could go to your emails, check all your emails, see what you got going on, what you need to respond to. You could go to your calendar, see all your activities that you have for the day. You could go to Microsoft Planner and look at every plan you have to see what you need to be working on, which could be 20 different plans. You could come to Do or look at your scratch pieces of paper on your desk and figure out, what do you need to do? Here in To Do and in Planner, because they are fully connected together, we have the capability of saying, I want to work on this task today. I know what my calendar looks like. I have some extra time today, and this task needs to get done because I know it's got a deadline coming up. So I'm going to click Add to My Day. So at the beginning of my day, I look at my tasks. I look at what do I have overdue that maybe I have time today to get finished. I would add it to my day. Whatever tasks I'm going to work on today, I add to my day. What's going to happen is at the end of the day, those tasks are cleared out. It's just a filter of the tasks that were marked as my day, because tomorrow is a new day. So tomorrow you determine what tasks are you going to work on that day. So it doesn't delete the tasks. They don't get deleted until you delete them. Even if you mark them as being completed, they just go to the completed folder on the left-hand side. We've got this folder called completed. That's where they're going to go. They stay in there until you delete them. But just so you could see also on the right-hand side, do I need to be reminded? Most likely. So I'm going to click Remind Me. When do I want to be reminded? Well, I want to be reminded on Monday, and I want to be reminded at, let's say that I want to be reminded at 8 a.m. I'm going to click Save. I could put in a due date. So I could say that this particular task is going to be due on Monday the 27th. I'm going to click Save. I could set this up as a reoccurring task. So if you have things that you do on a regular basis, set it up as reoccurring, whether it's daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever the case might be. If you had any files you wanted to attach, you could. But because this came from an email, it automatically has part of the email down below and the ability to click open to get back to that email. And then down at the bottom, I could type in any notes related to this. When I'm done, I need to go someplace else. I could go back to my task list, or if I want to go see what am I working on today, I go to the left-hand side, I click on that top category called My Day, and I'm automatically limiting, it's filtering the task just to show the ones that I said I wanted to work on today. If I finish everything from today, I click that circle on the left-hand side, I could go add other tasks to my day. So if I go back to, let's say I go to important, because these are tasks that I actually marked as important that I need to go back and get working on. So maybe I want to add one of these to my day. If I click that little circle with the eye, it's going to open this right-hand side, and I could click add to my day for any of these that I want to really put on my radar for working on today. So we add whatever it is that we want to work on. But these tasks that were marked as important can be changed. If you decide, you know what, this is no longer important, I'm going to unstar it. I click that star again, and it's no longer filtered in this category called important, but it's still in your task list. So this is where you're going to manage your personal tasks, the tasks that just you need to work on. This is your trackable tasks. You can add a new task from an email, or you could add a new task directly here. Whether you're in the important category, the task category, wherever you're at, just click add a task. Then you can fill out the information that you need. Like, let's say that I need to follow up with client XYZ. I could just simply put that in there. Yes, it has built-in spell check. Underneath the task, you're going to see an icon like adding in a due date. We have a reminder option. We have a reoccurring option. If I click the add button on the bottom of that task, it automatically adds it to the list. We can always go back and add more detail by going to that right-hand side pane. But let me talk about the left-hand side again. On the left-hand side, we have this category called planned. Planned is a category that is date related. So any tasks that have dates to them, they're in the planned category. To be honest, I don't technically use that very much because I haven't found it to be that great of a filter, but just so you know, it's an option. If you want to see every task, there's an all category on the left. That's going to show you every task that you are working on. Now, some of these are coming from this to do, but some of these are actually coming from assigned to me. This category on the left called assigned to me. This is all the tasks that I'm assigned to, but these tasks are coming from Planner. But because they're my tasks that somebody assigned to me or I assigned to myself, they show up. They're filtered from planners all over my 365 account. If I'm assigned to a task from any plan, I can see it here in To Do. If I click on any of these, to open up the right-hand side, you can see the details, and it's going to show you this open. You could see that you can add notes. It's actually overdue. You could add it to my day, even though it's a task that is coming from someplace else. Now, technically, this one isn't even Planner. It's coming from a loop component. So if I create a loop component in a meeting, like a Teams meeting, and I add an agenda and we have a task list in that agenda, if I get assigned to a task from there, it adds it here as well because it's assigned to me. But let me go to a different one. Sorry, I want to go to one that is not Loop. Here's one that's not Loop. This happens to be Draw Up the Design. Misspelled, but that's okay. I can see I've got a couple of steps at the top. Only one of the steps has been completed. Get Blueprints hasn't been completed yet. It's overdue, but this isn't my true task list. I can open this in Teams with that link, or I can open the task list called FM Task List, which is part of a plan directly from here. Now, I'll get to Planner here in just a moment, but just so you're seeing that this category from the left called Assigned to Me is not your regular tasks here in To Do. It is connected directly with Loop components and Microsoft Planner. So if somebody assigns a task to you, one central location where everything can be accessed, which is so much easier on us as the end user. So also on the left-hand side, I've got this category called Flagged Emails. I don't know if you are a flagger or not, but let's say you're in an email and you need to flag a message to make sure that you go back and follow up on it or whatever the case might be. You can go to the email, go to your little flag icon, do a right click, choose the flag you want to add. I'm going to say Add Reminder. I'm going to put in when do I need to start this? What time do I want it? When is this due by? And when do I want to be reminded? And what time do I want to be reminded? Once you click Save, that has now been added to Do. Because when you flag an email, it's a to-do. You're flagging it to remember to do something with it. So if I come back into my flagged emails, that task is now entered. Now you could see I have different categories. I have ones from earlier, if I had any for today or tomorrow, whatever categories depending on what it is that you need. If you don't have any date to it, you could always go back and add dates to them. So under this category called Add Dates. So if I go to an email, I should say a flagged message, and I click on that circle with the eye, it opens up the information pane on the right-hand side, and you can see that I've got this link going back to the email. So if I need to jump back to the email, I can, but otherwise I can add a reminder, add a due date, put in notes, attach files, do all those normal things as well, because it is a task and it's flagged in email. But if we mark it as complete here in the task in To Do or Planner, it automatically marks the flag as being completed. So it's all connected together, Outlook, To Do, and Planner. So let's actually jump back and let's talk a little bit about Microsoft Planner. So when it comes to using Planner, Microsoft Planner is a shared tool that we have. So it includes plans that are the container for aligning client matter, engagements, internal processes. It contains buckets for organizing your tasks by workflow stages, not individual staff members usually, but it could. We also have these different options for, I could go to a bucket that has a name and that's the category, and all tasks related to that bucket name, I put my tasks in there. And each task is going to give you status capability, date related, when is it due, when do I want to be reminded. We can assign who the owner of the task is. We can put in real deadlines so that we have a great way of tracking, but it's in a shared environment. Now, where can we actually use Planner? Where is it available? Planner is its own app. So if I go into my Microsoft account online and I go to my apps launcher, one way to get to the app is from here. I also could pin it to my favorites bar at the top, but I'm just going to click on this icon here in my apps list called Planner. From here, you will see access to every plan you are a part of, whether you created it or somebody else created it. we can create plans and assign other people to those tasks within the plan. But this isn't honestly where I usually create my plans. So I'll show you two different options here. So on the left-hand side, just so you could see this, if I click my day, any tasks that I had added to my day are going to show up. These are coming from To Do, but they could also have been tasks that were part of a plan that I marked as my day. So they're all connected, all linked to each other. If I go to my tasks, you have your views up at the top, board view, grid view, and then you have these different filter categories. Right now I'm on the category called Assigned to Me, which means I'm only seeing the tasks that have been assigned to me based on any plan that I'm a part of. If I click Private Tasks, these are the tasks for my To Do. Private tasks are coming from To Do. So I don't even have to be in To Do to create a task for To Do. I could do it right here. I also have flagged email category, or if I want to see each and every task, I could go to all. Now I'm going to click Grid View. When I'm on Grid View and I'm on this all category, you have where is it coming from? Is it coming from flagged emails, private tasks? Is it coming from, actual plan? The name of the plan is going to show up. And you've got some other columns of details. On the left-hand side, if I go to My Plans, it's going to give me a list of every plan I am a part of. So this is every task, every plan I'm a part of. Now, I could have created a new plan right here, but to be honest, I don't usually come here to use Planner. So you might be thinking, well, where does she go then to use Planner? I go to Teams. I go to Microsoft Teams because on the left-hand side, I added a shortcut icon for Planner. I just went to this menu, View More Options, and I chose Planner from this list and it added the icon. Then I right-clicked on the icon and clicked Pin, so it stays there. So I use Planner this way every single day. I hardly ever go to the internet to use it. I use it right here because I get the same things. You can see I've got my day, my tasks, my plans, and I get the same options because it is the same program. Also at the bottom left, if I want to create a new plan, I click New Plan and I choose what type of plan I want to create. Then I'm going to give it a name and those kind of things. So great way to get to create a plan or work with an existing plan. So I'm going to close this. I'm not really going to create a new one right there. But if I have an existing plan, I can go to it, click on the name of it, and on the right-hand side, I'm going to see the columns for the buckets. So these are all the regular to-do tasks, generic tasks go under to-do. Then these are it's a bucket called application. I have one called award, procurement, etc. And all the tasks related to procurement are going to go under that bucket. Everything related to award is going to go under that bucket. It just is a way that we can stay organized. But where do we really use these a lot? That's actually in a team. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to Teams inside Teams. And we can have a team for our accounting department, for our law practice, whatever your case might be, and inside each team, you can have different channels. Then those channels can have a tab that is a Microsoft Planner. That is a planner that we're going to use to automatically create tasks that we want to assign to anyone that is a part of the team or part of that channel itself. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go to this family law practice group team, and I'm going to click on the filings and deadlines. The filings and deadlines. So by default at the top, when I created this channel, I have a post tab, my shared tab, my notes tab. I want to create a new plan that we're going to be able to assign people to directly from here. I'm going to click the plus sign. I'm going to say apps. And from here, I'm going to click planner. So what's going to happen then is I'm going to click Save. Then I'm going to be able to give the plan a name. Then I can add in buckets. I can add in tasks. I can assign tasks to whoever I need to assign them to. So in a second, it's going to automatically give me that plan. It's kind of being a little sluggish right at this moment. But let's say that I want to have a name of my plan being Client XYZ, Matter Tasks. That channel then can be the command center for actions, chats, whatever. But I want it to be available with a plan that will have buckets that could be, I don't know where my plan is going or where it went. Let me go back and try that again. I don't know why in the world it might have disappeared on me. So let me try this one more time. I know you're setting up the plan, but it didn't add it. But anyway, you might have buckets based on this client matter tasks that could be intake. So all the tasks that are related to intake go under that. Or we want to have in progress, waiting on client, review and approval, filed or complete. We could have those as buckets in our plan. Then we could put tasks underneath each of those buckets that are related to those. And we could add different details. Don't know what's going on, so let me just go to a different channel for right now. I'm going to go to a channel that already has a task list created. So just so you know, normally the task list would show up. You would then be able to go and name it right on the tab at the top. But let me just go to an existing one. I've got this one called AP Tasks. So I want you to be thinking about what would it be a way for you to organize your information. So on the legal side, you might have that client XYZ matter tasks. You might have buckets called intake, in progress, waiting on client, filed, complete, etc. But what if you are in accounting? If you want to have a plan that is related to accounting, there's just think of whatever it is you are working on. So I happen to be in accounts payable, and we want to have a task list to be able to track what needs to be done for accounts payable. So I might have waiting on client, I might have waiting on sales, I might have, all these different types of buckets, depending on what it is that you might need. Review, name your buckets appropriately. Then when you are in a plan, first off, up at the top, you'll see the name of the plan. This one happens to be called AP Tasks. It has a grid view, which is columns and rows. It has a board view where it's going to show individual buckets, the columns, and then a card for each of the tasks. And then we have a schedule view, which is a calendar view, showing you the tasks based on date ranges. I love that view. We also have a charts view. This is a filtered list showing you status by bucket, priority, and by member. So who's assigned to those tasks. And depending on your plan and your license, I should say, for Microsoft, you could have a premium plan. I do have a license for Premium Planner. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's asking if I want to convert it to a premium plan to use a timeline, which is actually a Gantt chart, where we can link tasks to create predecessors and different things like that. Won't worry so much about that here today. But I love all these views. But how do these tasks and how do these buckets actually get created? I'm going to go back to board view. That's usually where I am, but don't have to be. We can add as many buckets as we want and add as many tasks as we want. I'm going to go to this. And by the way, I'm in a view. On the right-hand side, I'm in this view called Group by Assigned to. I'm going to click Bucket from this drop-down. Those are different ways to change your view, the way you're looking at the task list. And you can see that I have these buckets: to do, clear the ground, phase 1, past due tasks. On the right-hand side, I'm going to click Add New Bucket. And I'm going to name this Waiting on Client. So now I have this new bucket. And I want to say that this task called Create an Agent for AR needs to go in Waiting on Client. I can drag it over to that bucket and drop it. So if you have a task that's in a different bucket, drag it to where you want it to go, because you might change your mind later on. Now, how to task get added? You could go directly to the bucket, and at the top of the bucket, click Add Task. Then from there, you type in the name of the task. So let's say that I want to do a task called Prepare Month End Journal Entries. And I'm going to set the due date to be May 11th. And I want to assign this. I can only assign it to people that are a part of this team. If I'm doing a plan right in Planner, I can add people to be members of just the plan, because a plan can be on its own. It doesn't have to be part of a team inside a channel like I'm doing right now. But I'm going to say I want to assign it to myself. It's going to email me to let me know I was assigned to that. It automatically has added it to my to-do under that assigned category, and of course to my planner. So just so you could see, I'm going to click Add Task. Then I can always go back to this task, Prepare Month-End Journal Entries, and I can click on it to open a bigger window with more detail, where I can label it. Just like you have your categories in Outlook, labels can have names to their colors as well. And then you can see that label, and it helps to identify different information about it. I can choose a different bucket. I can say if it's in progress. I can set a priority. I'll say it's important. I can put in when is going to be my start date, what is going to be that due date. If I didn't already put it in, I can put in any notes, and down at the bottom, I could create a checklist. So I'm going to assign this to a staff accountant. I might need to pull trial balance. I might need to identify adjustments. Think of the individual things that might need to be done. When you're done, you just close this window. It saves automatically because it is cloud-based. You will see that when a task is in this view, this board view, up at the top you see the name of the task, then you see the steps or that checklist that you created. So once I complete one of these, I click the circle in front of it. It removes it from this view, but not from the task itself. I can see it's high priority because I've got the exclamation mark. I can see that I have completed one of two of the different checklist items. I can see the due date, and I can see I'm assigned to this. So what happened back in Outlook is I will receive an email message letting me know that I was actually assigned to that task. So once it comes in here, it will give me an email. It's a little sluggish on sending that right at the moment, but you will get an email letting you know you were assigned to it. And like I said, it automatically will then add that task to be available in your planner/to-do. So where is it going to show up in Planner? Well, I could always go back to the plan through here, through this team, through this channel. But what if I'm in Planner? Can I get to the task there? Yes, just go to Planner, whether it's online app or here in Teams, and you have access at the top left. You could go to My Tasks, easy way to kind of see everything you have going on. Here's the tasks that are assigned to me. Do I want to view this based on grid view? Do I want it to be board view? What view do I want? Here's a list of all of the different tasks, and the ones that have been completed are even showing up, but I can always filter it to say I only want to see uncompleted tasks. So we have quick, easy ways to always know what do you need to work on. So when I'm looking at my tasks, if I want a task to actually be added to my day, whether it's from here or it's a private task, I can go to that little circle with the I next to the name of the task. From this window, I can make any adjustments. So if I want to add anything on there, I could make any of those adjustments. From the all category, you can see everything you're working on. You could sort by any of these columns so that if you want to see things a specific way, you have the capability of doing that. So do you want to sort by due date? Do you want to sort by task? Whatever it is that you want, you have that capability. And we always see red for things that are overdue. As soon as something, whether it's private or coming from a plan, you can see flagged emails, etc. Once you mark it as being complete, it updates it everywhere, not just here in Planner. It is marked in to-dos, it's marked in the actual plan that it belongs to, whatever the case might be. So when it comes to utilizing these wonderful apps that we have built in, it is amazing how much we can track and how easy it can be. Now, in your handout, you're going to find the step-by-step instructions on using To-Do. Also, step-by-step instructions on using the Planner app, whether you're doing it through your Microsoft account, adding it to Planner, doing it with a new plan in Microsoft Teams, whatever the case might be. There's information on how to do all of that. Also, you're going to find a section in your handout that is directly related to examples. So you have working examples that you could take a look at to see, do any of these kind of fit with what it is you do? Here's some things you could follow, things you could get started with right away. So if you are currently not a To-Do or Planner user, you're using a third party, you're using paper, you're using your memory, whatever, try these. I encourage you to do so. So I just wanted to kind of give you a side-by-side. To-Do is for your personal tasks. You're the only one that sees them. You're the only one that has access to them. Planner is for managing a schedule that you're going to work with others. You want to have tasks that are working with others and assign tasks to multiple people that are a part of that plan. Okay? So when it comes to Outlook, Planner, To-Do, professional service firms can really turn day-to-day communications into a dependable workflow for managing client matter, internal obligations. Outlook is connected with these as well. So it's Outlook, To-Do, Planner, and Teams, all in there working together. And SharePoint, because we can have plans connected with SharePoint sites. We have connection with all of our 365 accounts, or I should say apps. So the next steps, I encourage you to set up your own to-do list. Take whatever it is you're actively using, get things entered in To-Do. Create a refined list for key areas. Adopt one capture in Outlook, whether it's from emails, you're flagging things, you just want to add in Task Direct, whatever works best for you. Build a shared plan for real organization, working with a team. On that shared, look at different ways that you can view, different details that you can be adding in. It is amazing. So establish a kind of a habit, I'll call it, that every morning when you come in, you look to see in To-Do or Planner, what do you have going on? What do you need to add to my day? So that you can focus on those tasks and not worry about the 25 other tasks that you have. Focus on the things that you put in my day. So I hope you picked up on some good tools that you're going to be able to utilize with these applications that you already have.